than
Oh,
your
right.
own notes.
Okay, no. Sorry, I've just written down some notes because invariably what happens is we're accused of being liars, and that is God cannot lie. So when God says something's going to happen, it will happen. In fact, it's already happened. So this whole thing, this whole debate, the reason that it's going on week after week in the same circular reasoning and the same concepts are brought up week after week and we don't have resolution is because it's happening almost with every single subject that we have in the world, whether it's Brexit or Black Lives Matter or vaccinations. You say A, I say B, you stick with your preconceptions. But what then happens, which breaks my heart, what then happens is we start the ad hominems and we start countering with aggression. This man's been hit, Hatun's been stabbed. She was stabbed here at Speaker's Corner last year, July. She's. This is literally the gates of hell in terms of a spiritual battleground. Yeah. Are you a Christian?
No, I'm
Agnostic or atheist?
I'm very interested, but I don't know. I mean, I've not lived long enough, not experienced enough to pronounce.
And you?
I don't know. I've not
Agnostic.
been touched by anything so far. I will be in the future.
Do you have a worldview that you would want me to join? Would you want to proselytize me and get me out of Christianity into your beliefs? No.
I'm not selling anything.
Okay. So when you have scriptures that were canonized 500 years before Christ set foot on the planet, and those scriptures, those prophecies comport with history and reality and archaeology, does that not give you a you're welcome to go, brother. Does that not give you a question, a big question mark in front of you?
I misunderstood the question, my friend. I'm really
So,
sorry. Can you paraphrase that?
Yeah, when you have a whole lot of scriptures which are prophecies saying this is going to happen and that's going to happen, and then it does happen, literally word for word, exactly as it said it was going to happen. Does that not give you a question mark in front of your worldview?
Yeah, but I mean, there's also a whole flow of reason which has identified things like the barn door fallacy, which is that if you just by chance, if you take history and put it on a barn door and you throw something at it, you're going to find a circle around a few things, and if you call those things the only things that you believe in, you're going to be right. But there is actually the whole barn door.
Have you heard of the red pound coin fallacy?
No, I haven't.
So, have you heard of the red pound coin?
The red power coin.
Pound coin.
Pound coin, no.
So if you covered the earth with pound coins 2 meters deep, and in all of those pound coins around the planet, there was one red coin, and you were blindfolded, and you could go wherever you want and put your hand into those pound coins, and you pulled out a pound coin, that would comport with the barn door far more than the scriptures that are prophesied and fulfilled with Jesus. So Jesus fulfilled over 300 prophecies.
I don't understand that analogy, but
Well,
want to have another go? Or?
the chances of Jesus fulfilling 300 prophecies, or 3, or 1, are that pound coin on the planet.
So it's a big barn door.
It's a massive barn door, and the barn door fallacy cannot be.
Large barn door, yeah.
Well, the barn door, it works. It'll work in a certain environment, but it doesn't work in reality because they've proven scientifically that it doesn't actually align itself, because everything around us is in a stage of entropy and everything's breaking apart. The barn door and throwing things at the barn door will dissolve before.
Entropy is quite a specific scientific concept. Doesn't really have much to do with real life. It's to do with
I'm glad you said
molecular
that.
substances. And,
No, but you see
I
that.
mean, we're in a world of disentropy. I mean, the way we live is about creation, not about destruction.
So you believe in creation? You believe there was a creator?
No.
So, in what environment have you ever seen something just appear? So, is there a chance?
That is the conundrum.
Okay.
How you can make something nothing.
Right.
That is the conundrum.
Okay.
Because
We'll never get you to heaven.
that's irrefutable. That's
Nice to meet you. God bless.
I mean, you can't. I mean, even if you, whatever you espouse as being the thing that created it, you still have the question of, well, what created that? So, I mean, that's irreducible.
What's your name?
I forgive you. Forgive me.
Yeah.
That if we're going to get to that, there's not much worth talking about. But yeah,
Well, what's your name?
Bob,
I'm Greg.
nice to meet you.
Pleased to meet you, Bob. What I don't want to do is for 30 years of my life, my father and my mother were anti-theists, not atheists. My mom said the worst day in her life was when I became a Christian. So she vitriolically opposed every single notion that I had of Jesus. And living in apartheid in South Africa, she even hated the church more. So it was always stigmatized by my family and their friends because it was seen as the white man's oppressive religion. But when I started actually coming to terms with who Jesus was and that he's the God of love and that he died for our sins, that got me stuck for about 10 years.
I really want to know about what motivates you and why you're here and what you're doing, because I noticed you talking about the Quran, etc. But can I pick you up on that one thing about Jesus and love and forgiveness and all that? When I read the Bible, I was surprised that he came back at the end in the sequel, dripped in blood with a sword on a horse, vengeful. I was upset at that part, and I'd expected forever forgiveness. And so, I mean, how do you feel about that? Is Jesus? No, I mean, we all know God is vengeful, but is Jesus supposed to be portrayed as somebody dripped in blood of the kings and coming to wreak havoc upon the earth?
Unfortunately, that is not his choice. God did not create us, and Jesus did not die for us to go that way.
So he does.
No.
He has no choice but to come back and slaughter.
He has a choice because it says here.
I mean, I would hesitate to say slaughter the innocent because they're obviously not innocent.
They're not innocent. This is the problem with hell. The people's concepts of hell is that it's another story. It's another fable. The first gospel that was ever preached was by Isaiah in 500 years before Christ was born. And what it says, "Behold my servant, he shall be built prudently, he shall be exalted and extolled and be very high." And then it goes on to say, "And his form his visage was marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons of men. So he shall sprinkle many nations." So that blood that is sprinkled on the nations is his blood that he sprinkled on the nations. I'll come to what you're saying in Revelation just now.
He comes dripped in the blood of kings.
Yeah, but before we get to the blood of kings, before we get there, we're now him on the cross, dying for our sins, and his blood sprinkled all the nations. That blood that we're talking about makes atonement for sin. There's a whole of the Old Testament, the way that the Jews worked, is they covered up sin. They didn't abolish it. They didn't completely reconcile man and God. So to keep on making sacrifices, keep on doing gifts to God, and doing works to make themselves right with God. But he is now talked about as being God become a man to sprinkle his blood on the nations, to die for their sins. So he died in the worst possible way, naked on a cross for our sins, but he's God. And he was he hadn't done anything wrong. When he comes back, the second coming of Jesus is also prophesied in the Old Testament. When he comes back, he comes to rule as a king, and he comes in power. And all these people that have been through the great tribulation, and now we're talking about the Antichrist and all his followers, people that accepted the mark of the beast on their hand, people that have the mark of the beast on their forehead. All these people are not just ignorant. Forgive me for saying this, I'm not having a go at you, but did you know that the word agnostic in the ancient Greek meant ignoramus? It meant, it is true. Look it up in the dictionary, please. But he jeering at you. What I'm saying is, that was me. I was ignorant.
The only people who write dictionaries are the ones in power, so...
But again, that's not true. You know, they say that the people that have won the wars are writing history, but that's obviously not true. You know, the black people... Well, if Jesus was crucified on a cross, how did he write the Bible?
But there were so many books.
No, 11 of the 12 disciples were killed and murdered and were martyred because they would not renounce their belief in Jesus. So they were the losers. So how does this book be written by losers, written under...
The Nag Hammadi scriptures and the Dead Sea Scrolls reveal, you know, a whole library of books that didn't get included.
Yeah, but it also reveals what I've just read to you from Isaiah. It's proving that Isaiah... You know that scholars didn't believe Isaiah was written before they found the Dead Sea Scrolls.
So I thought you were making a point that powerful don't dictate history.
Yeah.
In terms of what gets written down and handed on.
Yeah, I proved that by saying to you that Jesus was not powerful. Jesus was weak. We've just read that he was marred, he was crucified. So how do we stand on the word of God today? How do we say that Jesus is Lord when he was defeated?
Sufficient number of followers.
They were all killed. They were martyred.
But not as many as the people that believed in the
No.
Gnostic text.
All the Romans, the different Roman emperors up until 300, they were astonished that Christians would keep on being martyred and keep on being... Do you know what a Roman candle is? The firework, a Roman candle.
Now you've said it, yeah, I have a feeling.
That was Christians. That came from burning Christians on a cross. That was called the Roman candle. So this wasn't a successful religion when Jesus died and there was crusaders riding on horses. This is I'm just refuting what you said about the powerful write history, or I forgot your comment before that. But my question to you, Bob, is if you can't make something appear from nothing, and that leads to completely illogical, I forget that term that you...
Tautological.
Not tautological. Tautological is repeating the same thing to make it true. I'm talking about illogical conclusion by illogical regression, or the regressioning of the absurd. So what we come to now is in John chapter 1, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God, and the Word created the world. And Stephen Hawking, before he died, he wrote a book, the second last book that he wrote, claiming that the world could only have come into being by being spoken. There was no other way it could come to being. They've invented things like the Oort cloud. The Oort cloud is OORT. If you Google Oort cloud,
I think that's a perversion of what was meant by that.
No. The Oort cloud, I haven't come to you. Okay, Bob, please do, because we stand on the Word of God.
Quite what Stephen would have said.
No, sorry, I was paraphrasing Stephen. What he did say was that the last book he wrote, he recanted that. He said, no. It's probably come through folds of material and black matter and blah, blah, blah. But he also appealed to people at CERN.
I think what's interesting is that can you imagine what it's like if you're, that sort of picture of people living in the savannah in little groups, etc. And they don't really have language yet, and somebody comes along and they speak to each other and they start to organise the village.
But
That's where the idea of the word came from.
no.
That's
The
where
word didn't come from there.
The word.
So no,
It's
that's.
been handed down to us from generations to generations.
So do you believe in evolution?
I don't know. I mean, all of these things, I don't know. I mean, it
Okay.
seems a lot more plausible than most things. But,
But you see, I don't want to.
But
I don't want to
do
shoot
you get
holes
what
in
I
your
mean?
theory.
Do
No,
you
no,
get what
I
I
don't
mean
get it at
about
all. I
word?
don't agree with it. I strongly refute
when
that.
language was invented, because it's always confused. me,
Language
why
was
does
invented.
The Bible talk about the word, or
Language wasn't invented. It's not a human construct
why would God talk about the word?
because
I
He is the
think
word.
it's because we've inherited.
Genesis and Genesis 3, Genesis 6,
We've
all of
inherited this experience of peoples coming to us that had language that we didn't have.
the very
It's like,
first
well,
sentence
can
of
you
the
imagine,
Bible.
you were after these people had come to your village.
Which
10
people?
years afterwards, the people that could speak.
But where did they learn
language,
to speak?
But it wouldn't be immediate. 10 years after they'd arrived.
Civilization is only
would-
10,000 years old. We've got not
Well,
one trans.
that's not true,
Bob, can I
but,
just say something to you? Can I say something to you? Week after week, we ask people here, Genesis 11, now the whole world had one language and a common speech. That's right. So the whole world had one language. And when God
That's
came
just
down,
dogma. That's just dogma.
but then I can turn around and say, you're talking dogma, but you're
No, but it's not. What I've just said to you about
Yeah.
the word is my own invention.
Okay.
I've never seen it written in
But
a
God's
book.
revealed word is the truth, and God's revealed word to us is inerrant. And the reason we can prove it's inerrant is because all the prophecies and all the history and all the archaeology comport with what's written in this book. And so in the beginning, what God says, the first sentence of the Bible, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That one sentence, you and I can go and grab a beer and we can jam on that sentence for about 2 years. Do you know why? Because all 5 of the things required to create the world are set in there. Force, space, time,
That takes
it's
us
all
back to
there.
the whole question about what was before that.
Before that was
You don't
God.
know.
Because
Well,
Jesus says,
who invented God?
because Jesus said, I'm the beginning and I'm the end. I was there
How is
before.
he the beginning? I mean, what
He
did- what
is
did
the
God
Alpha and the
come from?
Omega. God's always there. God's a spirit.
How?
God's a spirit.
What
There's
was
another
before
dimension.
him?
There's the spiritual
But
dimension.
what was before him?
Nothing. He always was.
But
The
you're
spiritual
in the same
dimension.
position as me that you're
No,
criticizing
not
for
at all.
knowing
No,
what was
because we do
before.
know. We have the Word of God. You see,
But that's just
wait,
dogma.
But hang on. Before planets were here, before the sun was here, was there time?
Was the what?
Was there time?
I don't know.
Well, I keep on asking you questions, and I'm giving you the answer here because I'm saying, in the beginning,
I realize the criticism is that I'm not giving you.
No,
an
I'm not
answer.
criticizing.
But
I'm not criticizing.
All I'm saying is that what you're giving me is just what you've heard.
Maybe not, I don't know, but how much you looked into
You like
it
the
to come
editor?
up.
Yeah.
No, I'm just behind the camera.
Did you really get stabbed?
Yes. Instead
Are
of
you
like
serious?
instead of saying I don't know, I guess how much you look into it to make a decision, which you weren't able to make a decision. Because whatever my brother is asking you, you are saying I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. What have you done to know the answer? That might be helpful.
Well, not enough, but I keep trying.
And that's, Bob, the thing is, I was there, right in your shoes, standing where you're standing. And I met people that challenged me, and iron sharpens iron. And eventually, after reading the Quran, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, I started reading Madame Blavatsky. I started going into Satanism, astral projection. I started doing martial arts and a whole lot of weird stuff. Got involved with a really bad crew. I went to visit a church, heavily under the influence of weed and mind-altering drugs, and God spoke to me that day. So I have a relationship with God. But I'm not going to stand here and preach to you about my relationship with God, because the absurdity of saying that something came from nothing, you have to have so much faith to believe in that. You have to have more faith than I do believing in
I
Jesus
think all I'm
to believe in
saying
that.
is that none of us have an answer to that question.
We do. We have the answer, Jesus. Jesus
That's
is the
just
answer.
something you're telling me.
No, I'm not telling you. Here, the Bible is 500 years before Jesus set foot on the planet Earth. This was canonized. The Old Testament was canonized. These scriptures were here. And what Jesus says to you,
I'm saying I'm skeptical about their version.
good, be skeptical. Be skeptical, but then read it so that you can come here next week. So when
I'm
you,
not saying I've read, chapter and verse, but I have tried.
Well-
and what I've read doesn't answer the question.
you know why? Because before you read it, did you ask the Holy Spirit to help you?
Well, I don't believe in a God that would intervene in a way that if I asked him to help me read a book, that he would. Even if there is
He
such
does.
a thing.
He does.
Yeah,
The Holy Spirit, God calls you. You don't call God. You don't do Him
It seems
favors.
to contradict a lot of what I've read about the Bible about interventionism.
All I'm saying to you is God is probably calling you right now. Is that your wife or your partner that went off?
It's just a friend of
A friend. So a friend went off. You chose to stay. There's something in your heart that is interested in Jesus because He was perfect. He was sinless. No book has ever been written about Jesus saying, actually, He had sex with a 9-year-old. Actually, He did this, He did that. Nothing has ever refuted Jesus or that He did miracles.
The infant Jesus, which suggests that He used His powers in kind of childish ways. It's part of the Nag Hammadi scriptures. I mean, for example, He threw somebody off a building and then brought him back to life just for the fun of it.
I haven't heard of this. I
Have
don't
you
know
read
of
the
it.
Nag Hammadi? No. I mean,
No.
I'm not.
I've read the Apocrypha.
It's not a criticism because you would, but I was surprised by the fact that there is a gospel of the infant Jesus in which he does naughty things.
But that's not in the Bible. It's not canonized in the Bible. And is it accepted by scholars around the world?
Well, I mean, is it accepted by scholars? I don't know.
You see, we have atheist agnostic scholars that study critical text. So they study the Bible and they refute it, or
I'll
they.
tell you, check it out. I mean,
Okay.
the Bible of the infant, the Gospel of the infant Jesus. But there are so many contradictory books that were around from that time.
But the thing is, do you believe that Jesus walked on this earth?
I don't know. That he did.
Do you believe?
Maybe
Okay.
An amalgam of many people.
Let me ask you 3 questions, and then we'll come back to that question. Do you believe there's a Great Wall of China?
Yeah, I visited.
You visited that, so you've seen it with your eyes, and you believe in it. Do you believe that Plato and Socrates walked the planet?
Don't know.
You've heard of Plato and Socrates. Do you believe that Alexander the Great walked this earth? Okay. What would prove to you that Alexander the Great walked this planet? History books, or when you watch a documentary on?
I mean, it seems highly plausible given the documentary evidence, but I don't know if they did. I mean, all that could have been made up.
Okay, I haven't met a skeptic like you before, because at least you're being true to yourself by saying you don't know if Alexander the Great walked. But because you've been to the Great Wall of China, you believe that there is a Great Wall of China.
Yeah,
So you're saying you seeing with your eyes, that means you believe it.
Yeah.
Okay. Confucius?
Did he exist?
Yeah.
Again, the same answer.
Don't know.
I mean, how would I know if he existed?
Do you believe there was a Maccabean revolt that Rome conquered Greece in a war?
Yeah.
That the Bantus moved down from North Africa down to Southern Africa? That Julius Caesar was murdered?
Jesus, you're lost. If you don't know Jesus.
Do you believe in the Roman conquest of Egypt? Even although there's archaeology for all these things, there's fossils, you don't believe in it.
It's not that I don't believe in it.
Yeah.
So I couldn't
You don't know.
necessarily say that those things happen.
Bob, the thing is, one day we all have to stand in front of God and give account of our lives. And the simplicity of Christianity is that you don't have to do good works because Jesus has done it all. Jesus died on the cross for yours and my sin. And if I ask you about the Ten Commandments,
Like a really easy way out of
and
not
that's
doing
because it
good
is
stuff.
easy, because it's very simple. Have you ever told a
Do
lie?
you wake up? I'm dead sorry. I'm just thinking, but one of the disbenefits I think of believing is that you, for example, you believe that Jesus died for our sins, therefore you've got some sort of pass into life. If you go through some sort of ritual, you go to church etc., and it absolves you of the actual messy day-to-day business of being good and doing good works.
No, it's not about being good, it's about being saved. You see, reality comports
So I don't
with
believe
evil.
that he died for my sin.
No, I
believe
know.
that we all, day to day, sin and must do our best.
So you think there is such a thing as sin?
In an ecological context, yeah.
Ecological.
As in, it's bad for everybody else. Yeah, it's bad for our
So
species.
was Hitler killing the Jews evil? Was that a sin? Okay. Why?
Because there were so many amazing people whose lives were snuffed out.
Yeah, but what objective standard do you have to say that that was wrong? If there's no God and you don't know, why is that wrong?
Because he used a non-contextual, inobjective standard to do his work.
But for him it was
Take into
objective.
account-
For him it was objective. For me, for me,
him it was subjective.
no, it was objective.
How's it-
If you don't believe in God, it's objective. Because then, if there's no God, if God is not an objective moral standard by which we all have to hold ourselves, and if none of us have
entertaining
an objective
that
standard,
idea. So the name Satan, do you know where it comes from?
Lucifer, angel of light,
So do you know what it means in Hebrew?
no.
It means the one who objects.
Objections and objectivity aren't the same thing. Satan objecting to God, who is truth and love and nothing else, destroyed the spiritual realm by objecting and rebelling.
Book of Job.
It's
for
objection.
example.
I've read the book of Job, but you've taken me off my subject, and I have a feeling it's because you know where I'm going. Because if you tell me that you have an objective moral standard by which you live and you're a good person, when you hold yourself up to the standards of the Bible, when you look at the standards of the Bible, the Ten Commandments, that's what we have to hold ourselves to. Do you love the Lord your God with all your heart? Have you ever told a lie? Have you ever committed adultery? Have you even looked upon a woman with lust in your eyes? Or a man, whatever. All of these things are what we're going to be judged on. Jesus took all of that away because that blood that you're talking about in Revelation, first, before that blood comes, before the judgment comes, you have the judge of remission of sins, the propitiation of sins.
no, I
So
appreciate that.
when you say propitiation, that's a big word. Like I say, you and I can go and jam about that because Jesus died for our sins. It seems so simplistic to people, I'm going to say like you and me, it seems too simplistic to believe that you don't have to do anything, that Jesus has done it all. But the truth of the matter is, and I see a searching in your heart, Bob, and it's breaking my heart. I could cry right now because you're obviously searching for something. And I hope that this conversation, nothing from me, but I hope that the word of God that you hear actually strikes something in your heart because
I'm genuinely touched by that. I mean, I can feel it's really heartfelt.
It is heartfelt.
And similarly, I feel that you're a very intelligent guy that is perhaps too wrapped up in one idea, and you close yourself because it is easy. We always like to find a solution. That's what, but life is a very uncertain thing, and you haven't you don't know until the final, somebody comes and asks you on the final day on earth, what have you learned? We'll never know. You might change your mind. You're presenting yourself as somebody who knows everything.
No, not at all. No, Bob, I've got 7 years of education.
There are plenty of people that have been in your position and changed their minds.
And vice versa. There's plenty of atheists, there's plenty of agnostics, of which I was one, that have changed their minds too. And there's plenty of Muslims that are changing their mind.
I would love to talk longer.
Will you come back to Speaker's Corner?
Well, I'm going to do a thing at 5 o'clock. I'm going to do a reading from the Book of Revelation.
Okay. I'd like to...
I was on my way through and I've lost somebody, and I honestly, it's not a discourtesy.
Please, can I give you that to read through? And I'm here most weeks, but Hatun is here every week, and she is filled with wisdom, ex-Muslim, and I would love to speak to you. We can go and grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea.
Let's do that. Really nice to
Give me a hug, man. It's lovely to meet you. God bless you, man.
Have a good
It's been a
day.
pleasure. Thank you. Cheers. Wow. And wow. Amen.
Summarize for us.
That man was an agnostic, and he was a listener. I could cry right now because he's searching. He's searching for God, and this is why we come to Speaker's Corner, to meet people like that are searching for God, and God is actually working in him. God is working in his life, and is asking him questions. So this has been such a blessing to have that conversation, and I just thank you for the opportunity of capturing it on camera, because he's a genuine man, and I hope Bob, I think that was his name, Bob, I hope you watch this back, and I hope that you meet with Jesus and you bow your knee and you become a Christian. Thank you, Lord, in Jesus' name.